back for our Thursday night football preview between the Chiefs and the Chargers. We have a high-powered matchup between two AFC West foes, and honestly, the division's on the line. If the Chargers want any hope of taking home this division, they have to go ahead and beat the Chiefs, particularly at home. And on the other side of things, the Chiefs have their eyes on the number one seed. If they can go ahead and knock off these Chargers at home, they are going to have a ton of positive momentum. Either way, though, there's going to be a ton of scoring in this game, tons of fantasy points being put up on the board, and overall going to make for a very interesting slate. So with that being said, let's hop right into it with our projections here for the single game slate. Here on the screen, you guys can see our Patreon projections for Thursday. Obviously, as we get more information throughout the week, I'll be updating these for any last-second injuries, anybody that's rolled out with COVID, anything like that. So I know every single week I get a comment down below that's like, hey, well, this guy's been rolled out, or hey, this guy's not questionable anymore. This is coming out on a Tuesday, so make sure you guys keep that in mind. If you're looking for the updated projections, you can join the Patreon, get them right on there, or of course, we'll have our live stream on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to be going over any last-second changes. But with that being said, let's hop into the player pool. And with such a high-scoring affair expected here, as of right now, Vegas has it at a 51.5-point over-under. I actually have it closer to 58.5 points. It's also a relatively close spread. The Chiefs right now favored by 3.5 points. 3 on some books, depending on where you're looking. So overall, whatever way you want to slice this up, it got a high-scoring, close affair, which means it's an absolute goldmine for fantasy scoring. So with that being said, at quarterback, that means we're going to need both these quarterbacks. There's almost no circumstance where neither of these quarterbacks is going to be optimal. I would venture to say you need both in almost every single lineup. With that being said, though, putting both of them in a lineup means you're probably not going to be able to play as much at captain. They are relatively cost prohibitive at $18,000 for Patrick Mahomes and $16,200 for Herbert. Doing it with Herbert, obviously a little bit more flexible in terms of the salary, but that is not going to be my favorite build for this week. I'm much more looking for one of those skill position wide receivers, or potentially even a running back to go out there, get you that 20, 25 point performance and get it done that way. With that being said, at flex, I think they're the best plays on the slate, and whether they're at flex or captain, I'm going to have 100% ownership of both of these quarterbacks. At running back, Austin Eckler did miss practice on Monday, but that was seen as a rest day more than anything. He was still able to get his full workload during the weekend, still had a great game and a good matchup, and I don't expect him to have any type of limitations on Thursday. So as a result, is projecting well at 19.3 points. He isn't somebody that I need to jam in though. Unlike these quarterbacks, Austin Eckler does have a floor, unfortunately. If this ends up being a game where the Chiefs get way ahead, he could very well be worked out of the rushing load of the offense. He'll still be worked in as a passer. He has very high PPR upside. He's a good blocker as well. So it's not like he's going to be taken off the field. Just there are definitely game scripts where he doesn't get to that ceiling. Next up, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have a really nice price tag there at $7,000. He could very well be $8,500 or even $9,000 on this slate, and that would be a fair price tag. As he's gone more healthy, more and more acclimated to this offense, you've seen his usage grow and grow and grow. All the way up until last week where he had 70% of the usage at the running back position. And even though Darrell Williams and Derek Gore were both mixed in, they had pennies and fractions of what Clyde Edwards-Helaire had in terms of usage. Derek Gore and Williams are still in play here. You can see I do have Williams in my player pool. Gore, I'm not necessarily sure about yet. Williams, though, is going to give us that PPR upside. Almost every single week, we see this guy go out there, get a receiving touchdown, that kind of thing. And while we can't count on that to happen every single week, he does give us that kind of upside. And on a single game slate, that is exactly what we're looking for, particularly in a higher scoring game. If this was a 40-point over-under where we're not expecting a ton of touchdown usage or yardage to go around, he might not be the best play, but we're talking about the highest over-under of any game this weekend, let alone for a primetime game, which makes it a great spot to target. These two running backs for the Chargers, Kelly and Roundtree, I'm not looking to target. First off, I don't expect them to win this game, so I don't expect them to have to run the ball 25 to 30 times. They also haven't gotten much usage to begin with. So Austin Eckler, the clear back for the Chargers, and the guy I'm prioritizing at running back. Now over there at wide receiver, much like what we saw in Monday Night Football, where we had a very high scoring game, I actually expected the over-under to be closer to 60 between the Rams and the Cardinals. We're really going to want to target wide receivers. Anytime we're going to get 300 plus passing yards per team, at least 25 points per team, you really want to make sure you're getting this red zone usage. So first off, Tyreek Hill, even though he's had a down year, but for his metrics, I mean, still a top 10 wide receiver. Can't really complain about that. He hasn't quite had those massive games. I mean, he had one early on in the year where he had 50 fantasy points, and ever since then, his cap has been right around 25 fantasy points. And while I don't expect that to be the case for the entire year, it's definitely a little bit discouraging. A lot of it's been due to the attention that he's got. It's no surprise at this point that the way to stop Patrick Mahomes, and I'll put quote-unquote stop Patrick Mahomes in quotes, is to put two deep safeties out there, right? Don't let them hit you with that deep threat, the 80-yard touchdown, that kind of thing. That just takes the top off of the defense. So as a result, teams have been taking that away. Hill's really been reliant on shorter passes, catches over the middle, screens, yards after catch, that kind of thing. And while he is one of the most skilled receivers in the NFL at that trait, that's not really how you get 35 or 40 fantasy points. I don't think we need that here on this slate. The real issue is the price tag there at $11,400. So even though he projects as one of the highest points per dollar plays raw points plays on the entire slate, in terms of points per dollar, actually one of the weakest plays here. So he is going to be in my player pool. I will have a few shares of him at captain, but not nearly as much as I would have in any other week. In terms of these wide receivers for the Chargers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I like both of them. Both missed practice on Monday, Allen due to the COVID-19 protocol, but as of right now, according to the coach, should be good to go by Thursday. Mike Williams, he only missed practice due to rest reasons. He was completely healthy this weekend. He was activated just before the game, able to give it a full go Sunday, had a very good game, and really they're giving him the time off to catch his breath, right? When you're coming back from COVID, cardio can be a little bit of an issue. You can definitely be a little bit fatigued. So they gave him the day off, letting him try to get back to full health. Because if Keenan Allen ends up missing on Thursday, which as of right now, I don't expect that to be the case, Keenan Allen has to get one more negative test and he will clear the protocol. So could very well end up practicing this week. If he misses though, Mike Williams, fire him up again as one of the best plays on the slate. But even if he's in, still a great play. Both people that I'll be using at captain and of course at the flex position. Now let's move on to some of these mid-tier guys. Mecole Hardman has seen his snap load slowly decrease throughout the year. We've seen people like Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson see slight increases in their usage. So that's where that trade-off has started to happen. So for me, Mecole Hardman's in my player pool. I'm just not all that excited about playing him. He's fairly priced there at $5,000 and surely doesn't have a 30-point ceiling. So he's somebody I'm using as more of a filler option. Not one of my foundational plays for this slate. But on the other hand, Byron Pringle, he is a foundational play. He's not only half the price as somebody like a Mecole Hardman, he's also seen more snaps of late. Just last week, he saw over 60% of snaps, was being utilized as a blocker a whole ton, and that's really why he's seeing the field. This guy is a hard-nosed blocker. He loves getting his head dirty down there, and he's not afraid to make some of the tough blocks. You've really seen that play in the offense. You've seen some huge runs from this team, and a lot of them have been contributed to Pringle's blocking. So I expect him to earn even more time in this offense. He's a deep play threat. He's got plenty of speed, and overall, he's the receiver on this team, aside from Tyreek Hill, obviously, that has the highest amount of potential. So they obviously want to get him more acclimated into the offense, help him achieve that top-end potential that he has. So I like him there at that type of price tag. Joshua Palmer, same kind of story. He gets a significant boost if Keenan Allen ends up not playing. He would be playing the number 2/number 3 wide receiver role. That would be a split between Jalen Guyton and Joshua Palmer. But what we have to like here is he's much cheaper. He's less than half as expensive there at $2,200. And in terms of points per dollar, projects much better than a Jalen Guyton. So I like him there a whole lot, but particularly more if Mike Williams ends up missing. Demarcus Robinson, if you wanted to take a pure punt play at the wide receiver position, there at $1,800, he could be your guy. Not somebody that I'll be using as a core play, though. Let's move on to the tight ends. And anytime we have a showdown slate, we got to talk about the tight ends, because seemingly one of these guys is scoring every week. First off, Travis Kelce, much like a Tyreek Hill, has been much less impressive this year than in years past. A lot of that's been to the attention that he's been getting. The strategy this year, like I've already outlined, put two deep safeties, take away Travis Kelce, and make tackles. That's how you stop the Chiefs. If you have a good tackling defense, you're usually able to get the job done against them. Unfortunately for the Chargers, they are a relatively weak defense. They have some good cornerbacks and safeties, but their linebackers in front seven have a lot to look for. So Travis Kelce, I expect to have a relatively good game here. I have him projected at 15.8 points. That doesn't put him at a must-play range, much like a Tyreek Hill. If I end up getting him in a lineup, so be it. I'm going to be happy about it. I mean, they are top 5 players at the positions in the NFL, but the price tags aren't really viable, right? You're talking $8,600 for Kelsey. It's a little bit higher than what we'd be hoping for. Obviously, the $11,400 for Hill is a lot higher than what we're looking for. These Chargers tight ends are interesting. First and foremost, both of them did not practice Monday, and I think they have legitimate Q tags because both took big hits last weekend, ended up coming out of the game for a few sets, and while both did return, the fact that they missed practice Monday, as opposed to somebody like an Eckler or Williams, that is a legitimate Q tag. Those top two did not end up getting hit bad or anything like that, at least for what we know about. So we'll have to keep an eye on these two. I do expect at least one to play. If one ends up missing, whoever ends up playing is a massive value here. I mean, you're talking $5,400 for Cook. He's been a touchdown machine this year. And Donald Parham Jr., he would be, I'm honestly, and I don't wish harm on anyone, but if Cook ends up missing this game, if he got legitimately injured, Parham's going to be the best play on the slate in terms of points per dollar. You're talking over 11-point projection. This guy's athletic. They love utilizing him in the red zone. They set up fade plays for him all the time. They'll put two tight end sets out there. They'll put Parham on the outside like a wide receiver and throw fade routes to him. I should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about his skill set. The guy is an absolute stud. He's an athletic specimen. You can go up and high point that football. So we'll have to keep an eye on the injury situation. As of right now, we don't really have much information to go off of. I have both projected in as of right now. And you can see even with both of them eating into the production of each other, they both project as great plays. So either way, they'll be in my player pool. Kind of hoping one of them gets ruled out because it would open up a ton of value. Noah Gray, if you're going to go to a pure flyer play, you could go to him. He plays for the Chiefs. He's seen red zone usage this year. Same thing with Blake Bell. The unfortunate part is that it's very sporadic. They are dependent on that touchdown type of usage. So outside of large field GPPs, I will not be prioritizing them. Onto the defenses, much like what we had for Monday Night Football, the Rams and the Cardinals game, I don't want any part of these defenses. We're going to see a ton of scoring, and outside of defensive touchdown or that kind of thing, not going to see them end up paying off at flex or at captain. And of course at kicker, anytime we have a super high scoring game, I'm going to be all over them. Harrison Butker is extremely accurate. He's also very good from over 50 yards, so could potentially even put up a ceiling performance. Dustin Hopkins, on the other hand, he's been dealing with some injuries this year, doesn't have as much of a big leg. So if I was going to choose between the two, would most definitely go Butker's way. That is all I've got for the Thursday Night Football preview. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who you guys have as your favorite captain play on the slate. For me, I like one of those mid-tier wide receiver options, whether it's a Mike Williams or a Keenan Allen, or potentially even going to a Byron Pringle at captain. I expect one of those mid-tier options to be optimal just because we need to fit both of those quarterbacks into lineups and most likely one of those stud-tier options from the Chiefs as well. But either way, whether you agree with me or not, go ahead and let me know down in the comments who you guys have. I always love to hear from you guys. And as always, really appreciate all of your support here on the channel. We're going to have tons of NFL content coming throughout the week. Tomorrow, we're going to have our core picks for Week 15. We're, of course, going to be covering all of the primetime slates for the showdowns and, of course, golf, NBA, and UFC content to come. We got you covered on all of the bases for DFS this week from a database perspective. So make sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss any of that when it drops. But until next time, on Thursday, reminder, we are going to be doing that live stream at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if there's any injury updates, any massive changes to the player pool, I'll get you guys covered there. So until then, good luck, guys, and let's get this bread.